Greetings. This is the fifth episode on capital gains that is being shot from our studios at Allarpet, Chennai. Now over to question and answer session.
Greetings. We will now ask you certain questions on stamp duty value, sir. What is the meaning of stamp duty value?
As all of us are aware, lot of unaccounted money is pumped into the real estate sector. And in order to have control over such money being pumped in, Section 50C has been enacted by the Income Tax Act with effect from 1/4/2002. That is from the assessment year 2003-04, whereby the stamp value as determined or as assessable by the state government authority will be taken as the total value of the consideration in respect of all sale transactions.
Why is the stamp duty value relevant while computing capital gain in case of transfer of capital asset being land or building or both?
While computing capital gains, if the value stated in the agreement is less than the stamp value, then the stamp value will be adopted in respect of capital gains.
Is there any margin of difference permitted between the stamp value and document value?
From the current financial year, 10% difference between the stamp value and the document value can be there. Previously it was 5%. Let me explain it by way of an example. If the stamp value is say 1 crore and the document value is 80 lakhs, the maximum margin that could be there is the value if is less than 90,000, then the stamp value will be adopted. If the document value say 95 lakhs, then the 95 lakhs will be allotted as against 1 crore.
What will be the tax implications, sir, if there is more than 10% difference between the document value and stamp value?
Adopting the same example as stated in the previous question, if the stamp value is 1 crore and the document value is 80 lakhs, the difference of 20 lakhs will be more than 10%. So, the seller will have to pay capital gains tax at 20% plus applicable surcharge plus cess, and the purchaser because of the benefit obtained to him will have to pay tax at the normal rate at 30% plus surcharge plus cess. That is, on the amount of 20 lakhs which has not been exchanged, there will be an approximate tax liability of 60%, and this should be avoided.
What is the tax liability of capital gains made from sale of agricultural land in rural?
Agricultural land in rural area is not considered as a capital asset. So, the question of levying capital gains tax on transfer of such agricultural land does not arise.
Is there any responsibility on the part of the purchaser to withhold tax while purchasing an immovable property from a resident Indian?
Yes, there is responsibility whether the purchaser is a resident or non-resident. If he purchases a property from a resident Indian, the value of the property is more than 50 lakhs, then he has got to withhold tax at 1%. In the case of joint development agreements which are registered, about which we have discussed about a few episodes back, then tax withholding has to be at 10% by the builder or promoter on cash consideration.
What is the time limit, sir, for depositing such tax withheld?
Tax withheld in such kind of transactions will have to be deposited before the end of the next month. For example, the property is sold say on 20th of June 2020, the tax withheld has to be deposited on or before 31st of July 2020.
Even if the individual share of the sellers is less than rupees 50 lakhs, is any tax liability still cast on the purchaser, sir?
As the act is not very clear, it is better for the purchasers to deposit tax even though the individual shares is less than 50 lakhs, because for the purchaser whether it is 99 plus 1 or 100%, 100 plus 0 is going to make the same payment, and the responsibility is thrust on the purchaser. If he doesn't withhold tax and pay it to the government, then he is liable to pay not only tax but also interest and penalty.
Is this tax withholding applicable when agricultural land is purchased, sold?
No, as agricultural land situated in rural areas or in urban areas are outside the purview of this tax deduction.
Will the withholding of tax at 1% be applicable if the immovable property is purchased from a NRI?
In the case of purchases from NRI, there are separate sections, so this 1% tax proceedings will not be applicable. And if a tax certificate is not obtained from the non-resident Indian being a seller or by the purchaser, then the tax will have to be withheld on the entire sale consideration and not only on capital gains tax, about which we will discuss in the subsequent episodes.
Sir, we would like your advice on what are the various points that should be avoided.
No attempt should be made to transfer property to a spouse. Spouse means husband to wife or wife to husband, and to a minor daughter who is not married, because in respect of all those transactions, the transferor shall be deemed to be the owner. For example, a property worth 1 crore is transferred, say from husband to wife, and any income that arises out of that property will be taxed only in the hands of the husband. In case the property is sold on a later date and the capital gain arises to the tune of 60 lakhs, the transferor, namely the husband, will have to pay tax. So it will be a chain of transactions. So when tax planning is done, these points have to be taken into consideration.
Sir, now on concluding, we would like to have a general piece of advice.
In this case, I am going to give a very long answer. There is no straitjacket formula by which you can follow in a later case what has been done in an earlier case. We cannot do what the next door fellow has done or what the fellow staying upstairs has done. In fact, the facts of the earlier case may have been different. The law probably was different in the earlier case, and there may be certain decisions which have been given by smaller benches, and there may be some decisions which have been overruled. So each case has got to be studied on its own merits, and a decision has got to be taken. And most of the people go through blocks and take a decision. It is not advisable, because what is given in blocks is only information, and what is given by a competent professional is a procedure which has got more value than what has been seen in blocks. And moreover, if the property sold, say I consider it as a long-term capital gain, but the officer says it's a short-term capital gains, had I invested all money in purchase of a residential property as well as in capital gain bond, so I may not have any money to pay when the officer determines that it's a short-term capital asset, because the period of holding depends upon the day in which the property is allotted in the case of a joint development, or in the case of purchase or sale of property, the day the properties possession of the property is given. So in all such cases, the period of holding plays an important role. So in all such cases, it is better to take the advice of competent professionals. And a capital gain can be explained like this: you have got a big car, you have got half an inch say space on either side in a garage. You have to park the car in the reverse direction. So if you do a mistake, either it will hit on the right side or it will hit on the left side. Capital gain is like this. Unless proper planning is done, it is not possible to save money on capital gains tax. And like DRS in cricket system, for the fielding team, there is no other option. Once an asset falls into a short-term capital asset, all liabilities pertaining to short-term capital asset will have to be borne by the purchaser, because short-term capital gain tax is at normal rates, long-term capital gains tax is at concessional rate, and the person who thinks that he has invested in long-term capital asset ultimately finds it's only a short-term capital asset, that is not investment what has been sold, then he is liable to pay tax, and he may not have enough money to pay interest, not only tax but also interest and penalty. With this, we conclude the basic concepts in capital gain taxation, and from the next episode we will be discussing about tax planning. Hope all of you enjoyed all the 5 episodes. We welcome your feedback and questions. Thank you.